Contents of Joel. Insect invasion strips the land. Day of Jehovah near. Chapter 1 through chapter 2, verse 11. What a terrible vision of the calamity Joel sees. A devastating onslaught by the caterpillar, the locust, the creeping unwinged locust, and the cockroach. Vines and fig trees have been stripped bare. The starvation stalks the land. There are no grain or drink offerings for the house of Jehovah. Joel warns the priests and ministers of God to repent. Alas for the day, he cries out, because the day of Jehovah is near, and like a despoiling from the Almighty One, it will come. 1 verse 15. Animals wander in confusion. Flames have scorched the pasture land and trees, and the wilderness has been seared by fire. Sound the alert. Blow a horn in Zion, O men, and shout a war cry in my holy mountain. 2 verse 1. The day of Jehovah is near, a day of darkness and thick gloom. Look, a people numerous and mighty. They turn the Eden like land into a desolate wilderness. Nothing escapes. Like horses, and with the sound like chariots of the mountain tops they run. Like a people in battle, order they rush into the city, climbing on walls and houses and through windows. The land is agitated and the heavens rock. Jehovah is in command of this numerous military force. The day of Jehovah is great and very fear-inspiring, and who can hold under it? 2 verse 11. Turn to Jehovah, spirit to be poured out. 2 verse 12 to 32. But something can be done to stem the invasion. Jehovah counsels, come back to me with all your hearts. Rip apart your heart and not your garments, and come back to Jehovah your God. 2 verse 12 and 13. A horn blast summons the people to solemn assembly. If they return to him, Jehovah will be zealous for his land and will show compassion upon his people. 2 verse 18. There will be blessings and forgiveness, and the invader will be turned back. Rather than a time for fear, it is a time to be joyful and rejoice. For there will be fruit and grain and new wine and oil. Jehovah will compensate for the years that his great military force of locusts has eaten. His promise is, you will certainly eat, eating and becoming satisfied, and you will be bound to praise the name of Jehovah your God, who has done with you so wonderfully. 2 verse 26. They will learn that Jehovah alone is their God in the midst of Israel. And after that it must occur that I shall pour out my spirit on every sort of flesh, says Jehovah. And your sons and your daughters will certainly prophesy. As for your old men, dreams they will dream. As for your young men, visions they will see. And even on the men servants and on the maid servants in those days, I shall pour out my spirit. There will be terrifying portents in sun and moon before the coming of the day of Jehovah. Yet some will survive. It must occur that everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will get away safe. 2 verse 28 to 32. Nation to be judged in plain of Jehoshaphat. Chapter 3, verse 1 to 21. Jehovah will bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem. The nations will be gathered. Tyre, Sidon, and Philistia will pay dearly for reproaching and enslaving Jehovah's people. Listen to Jehovah as he challenges the nations. Sanctify war. Arouse the powerful men. Let them draw near. Let them come up, all the men of war. 3 verse 9. Let them beat plowshares into swords and come up to the low plain of Jehoshaphat, meaning Jehovah is judge. Jehovah's command ring out. Thrust in a sickle, for a harvest has grown ripe. The press vats actually overflow, for their badness has become abundant. Crowds are in the low plain of the decision, for the day of Jehovah is near. 3 verse 13 and 14. Sun and moon become dark. Jehovah roars out of Zion, causing heaven and earth to rock. But he proves to be a refuge and fortress for his own people. They will have to know that he is Jehovah their God. What paradisiac plenty will be seen in that day. 3 verse 18. The mountains will drip wine, the hills will flow with milk, and the stream beds will course with abundant water. A refreshing spring will go forth from the house of Jehovah. Egypt and Edom, who have shed innocent blood, and Judah will become desolate waste. But Judah and Jerusalem will be inhabited to time indefinite, and Jehovah will be residing in Zion.